The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the number one Contender podcast, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things movie trivia schmodown. I am your host, Jarod the Dark Jedi Bachman Stubbs, and joining me, as always, is your favorite crusader, Imbiamba Jones himself, Travis Grossman. There we go. You got that bottle eventually. You know, it's funny. I almost wore one of my Yikes shirts. Like I had
I just realized this is a podcast. I can't do the Imbiamba bit. I can't be silent and just nod my head or shake my head.
I mean, you can absolutely do it on the video version. The people who listen are going to be very confused and out of the joke. He's nodding his head, guys. Anybody on the audio only? But yeah, I almost wore my Yikes shirt. Like I had it in my hand, and then I was like, you know what? I want to wear my Asbury from Roosevelt's, but which we're not. I mean, not sponsored by Roosevelt's, but I wear your shirts all the time. We'd appreciate it. Nearly every.
I think you own stock.
Honestly, I have a problem. And I can admit that I have a problem. But I've also had a problem with finding button-downs that like fit me and are also my style. And it's not my fault that every couple months they'll be like, hey, here's exactly something you would want to wear. And then I go ape shit on it. It's not my fault. But we are back. We have some matches to recap for you guys this week. If you've not seen it already, we did our Collision recap. We were joined by Frankie Numbers himself, Frank Janish from the Schmodown Rundown. Go check out that episode. It'll be the most recent episode other than this one. Yeah, go watch that. That's where all our Collision talk will be. Other than that, we got lots of news. We got lots of news that we're going to do up top here. Starting with, we have our match schedule for the month per the chairman himself. We have, basically this whole bit is what we're going to be talking about today. Bibbs versus Blunden, Jader versus Fabretti, Murrell versus Irwin. And then next week, we're going to be having in the IG tournament, which we'll be looking at the bracket of. I forgot to make my bracket, so we'll have our brackets posted at some point. I told Travis to make one, and I'm the dickhead who forgot to make his.
I mean, I forgot to make mine. I mean, we can just kind of, if we pull them up later, we can just kind of be like, because the IG one's actually done. We can actually do that.
Yeah, we can actually do that for the IG bracket. We have Ethan Irwin versus Paulo Yama, Griffin Newman versus Video Drew, Ben Bateman versus Perry Nemiroff. I'm interested in that one. That one will be in studio. We have the another round of the IG tournament with Chance Ellison versus Mark Haas. I get it right? I say it right?
You did.
Oh, fuck yeah. Damn.
Moose Haas.
Moose Haas. That one will also be in studio. In the singles tourney, we also have Oyama v. Harley, Drew McWeeny versus Ty, the Tyrant Lieberman. That will also be in studio. And then Chance Ellison versus Snyder and Collins versus JTE. And that is all we have so far. That last one will be part of a pay-per-view, another double corruption pay-per-view, which excites me very much. Yeah, that's what the matches look like. While I get to the other brackets, we also, a couple weeks ago on Schmodown Rundown, had the chairman talk about how the Schmoedown is going to be getting another format reboot. It's going to be for the better. And I think that's something
100%.
I think everybody's agreed on, is that it's going to be for the better. You can get more raw entertainment value, more of the pro wrestling element. Wake up. More of that fun pro wrestling element of this show out with the new format that will be coming next season. From the way he said it, the factions are just going to become a division of their own, which interesting. Other than that, it feels like
it'll be a more formalized version of kind of what they were before season 7. If that makes sense.
A middle ground between like strict faction play and it's a free for all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, hey, whatever works. You know, this is the kind of thing that needs to always be evolving. Otherwise, it'll stagnate and then runs the risk of dying. And I will have a very big void in my life if the Schmoedown just goes away. So constant evolution sometimes is necessary. I will not lie. I am a little sad. We touched on this ever so briefly before. But I really like the strict faction play. It's really fun. I like everybody getting to have their team, and I'm glad that the factions, in a formal sense, are going to stick around. I like all these managers. I like all the personalities. It makes me a little bit sad to see the structure go. But I know that we will in turn get out of nowhere moments back. Mm-hmm. And I also think on some level I think Christian and everybody else involved, but knowing that Christian's kind of the head of the table, the buck stops with him. I know I feel like he accidentally created the perfect layout for this game for COVID. Like, I feel like this, like
because you can't do the big moments like online. So having it be where everyone's set, and like he said in that interview, right? Like he's tried a lot to be like Zoom meetings that work like the old.
Hey, how'd you get this password?
Mm-hmm.
But like he kind of acts like, because like this has worked. This has been perfect for this era of a year and a half of the StreamYard matches, and we're still going to have those matches through the end of the year. And I'm really scared we're going to keep having them a little bit longer, but that's a conversation for a different day and a different podcast. But I think it's going to be interesting. Like I look forward to it a lot. I'm going to miss it. But yeah, like you said, you got to keep growing. You got to keep evolving. You said whenever we touched on this, I think it was in our Collision pre-show.
Yeah, that was the last time we talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. And you brought up where it's like it's weird that I am the disappointed that like it's going away, but it makes sense that it doesn't make any sense that I'm like, oh man. But they've never done us wrong with like how they format this stuff, and I don't think that'll start now. Travis, any thoughts on that big news before we move into the IG bracket?
I was listening to Ben Bateman's Magic podcast again, as I do, where again he had just like this nugget of Schmoedown talk that ends up in all of their episodes he's in. Where he was talking about the difference, because Magic the Gathering Pro Play is kind of up in the air and kind of getting fucking weird right now, and it's a whole thing, and I'm kind of scared, but that's the talk for another day. But he was saying the difference there was that, like, when you watch professional Magic the Gathering, you're watching for the game and maybe one player, right? Like, I follow it enough now that I know a lot of pros, and will be like, oh, I know so-and-so's playing. I want to see them play this match. I want to see them play this game.
Like Ben the Boss Bateman.
He's not exactly a pro, but
I figured. But
that's the point, is that, like, most people, like, one of the cool things about going to one of the old, like, big tournaments, like the one I went to in Pittsburgh a couple years ago, before this, was that, like,
for the apocalypse,
anyone running hot could end up in their coverage match area. So, like, oh, you're 4-0 today. You're going to be on camera. Like, you're going to get to play on camera, and we're going to talk over your match. And I like that was really cool for a lot of people to be able to go, like, I don't have a media, like, I just get to play this game and people are going to get to see it, and that's really sweet. Versus the Schmodown, where the point when it was made was that, like, the draw of it was seeing these personalities compete in movie trivia, right? Because I had heard about the Schmodown before you got me into it, because Jeremy Johns played in Inner Geekdom and almost won the Inner Geekdom belt. And he would talk about it in his videos of, oh, by the way, I'm doing this thing you should go watch. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then I didn't watch it. And then after you were telling me about it and started sending me links and stuff, and I was like, wait a minute. This is that thing Jeremy Johns did.
Like we've said before, that MCU bar crawl trivia was the reason I was able to get you and, like, Kaysen a little bit into the Schmodown, was because I was like, is that great MCU exhibition match they did for the patrons? I sent it to you guys. I sent it to our whole team, and I was like, use this as training material.
And then I just started watching Inner Geekdom matches, and then I ended up in the Smith stuff, and here we are. I was like, I skipped past all the story stuff. It's not for me. I don't really care that much. And then I just started, like, backtracking, and I'm like, wait, well, there's story in this from singles, so I guess I have to start watching singles now. And I started watching singles matches, and here we are.
Yep.
But and you could tell that, like, they were having a really tough time writing stories, you know?
Yeah.
That didn't involve some weird, like, somebody leaving a faction, but then they don't have a faction, so they can't play unless somebody else picks them up, and then someone has to leave their faction. Yeah. I think they could have had a little more fun with it if they had left them, like, flex slots.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, each faction gets 12 players right now, but you have 3 additional slots that you can't draft into. But if a player wants to leave, they can. Like, if they want to hop around.
That's an interesting idea.
Which, like, you know, every idea has its flaw. I'm sure that one does too. But I'm sure there's a way they could have kept it this more structured idea without the big switch. But also, I, as someone who missed a lot of the, oh my God, it's so, like, Dan Murrell's back. I miss Dan Murrell's back, and Dan Murrell's one of my favorite players now. That, like, I want those moments again. I think that's way more fun. When, like,
and it's like Christian said with free for all. Like, if you pay close enough attention, you could figure out every single player.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was, like, you could do the math and, like, okay, this is who each faction can play. Here's everybody we know. Here are the likely other people to get thrown in there.
And just having the points not be an issue of, well, I don't want to play so and so. like, and you know, people being done for the season, right? Mark Konopik isn't playing for the rest of the season,
Yeah.
which is nuts. But like, if we're not limited to faction play, if we're not limited to like, well, she has to play. Also, the problem of factions playing each other for the belt, right? That like, how do you handle that? Like, we've seen it work with the IG tournament last year, but we've also seen it very much not work with Finstock last year. So
Yeah. But then again, you kind of love where it doesn't work because then you get actual drama. And, you know, like how much of that was played up for the cameras, you know, which excites. We're like, that's where I get excited, where it's like, ooh, you know, we can actually mine this for content. But, yeah, no, that all makes sense. Very excited, you know, looking forward to how things change. I also don't know, pardon me, how many if there's going to be like the loss of any factions, or any factions are going to like dissolve going into like the not faction based play. Obviously, I have nothing to worry about. I'd be surprised if corruption isn't at least one of the ones that stick around, but lots of questions on the table and ones that we'll get answers to in time. Hopping on over, we have our Inner Geekdom tournament bracket. We saw our first match of it here in Robert Parker. What are you laughing at?
come on, just look at the side. Look at the one response to Christian. That one, yeah.
Oh,
That's just going.
that's No Moon with the DJ Khaled eating popcorn. I got distracted looking at Khaled. We got our first match, which was Robert Parker versus Jesse Swift. I think predictably Robert Parker won that one. We also have Paulo Yama versus Ethan Irwin on the other side of that bracket. On the right, we have Chance Ellison versus Moose Haas, like we talked about earlier. And we also have Saul versus Brandon Hanna in the bottom right quadrant of this bracket. Travis, we've already seen Parker versus Jesse Swift. We know how that one's going to shake out. Ethan Irwin v. Paulo Yama.
I'm gonna say Ethan Irwin.
You're going for the dark horse.
I'm going. Look, I don't want to spoil. I think when I said that on we recorded that on Wednesday, and Frank, like, his eyes kind of lit up when I said it. Wasn't he at the taping at the Cantina?
I don't know if this one was taped at the Cantina.
Not that, but I mean for the championship match. For this week's pay-per-view.
Yes.
So he knew already how that one shook out.
Okay,
So,
yeah, that
and
okay.
I could tell in his look. I'm like, he's trying not to tell us how the pay-per-view went because I thought he was there, which is really funny. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm sticking Irwin. I'm going for it.
Okay. Other side of the bracket. Chance v. Moose. Cobra versus the Moose.
My gut's telling me, like, Chance is just a safe bet. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Chances, like, some players have that range they play in where they're like, some days I'm 75, some days I'm 100.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that I'm in between because when I'm feeling 75, I end up 70, right? Chances always 90. And it does not bug him that he's always 90. He might miss one or two, but he's always batting at that 90%. No problems. We haven't seen a lot of Moose Haas yet. I think I'm going to go with Chance just because we've seen Moose falter on the 5-pointer.
Yeah.
And if that's where we end up, my money goes to Chance for hitting a 5-pointer. That's just where, That's where the match gets made sometimes. And I think that when you have a track record of not missing those, you have a good chance. Get it? I didn't do that on purpose.
Okay, you just saved yourself from the booted out of the stream gag by saying you didn't do that on purpose. Because that was bad. Saul v. Brandon Hanna.
Saul. That's the first sound my mouth made. That's what I'm going with. I think that one's the most 50-50.
I've never seen somebody do a verbal coin flip before. That was interesting. All right.
I think both of them are coming into this match thinking they have it on lock.
Yeah.
Like more so than like
you're not wrong.
And so it's like, oh God. Oh geez. I think Saul's just been playing more and slightly better this season.
Yeah.
So I guess Saul.
All right. I feel you. In terms of round one,
say Jesse Swift, you won't. Say Jesse Swift, you won't.
I mean, if we had covered these brackets before the tournament had started, I would have definitely had Robert Parker pulling that one. Paulo Yama is the safe bet, and I do think he will beat Ethan Irwin.
We'll find out on Wednesday. You'll find out sooner, actually.
Yeah, I always forget to watch it while I have early access. I'm betting on chance, both for numbers and the fact that I will never bet against corruption. I think Saul is okay. I use like the Star Wars versus series analogies all the time with this. Talking about the Schmodown. Just because my brain is like coded for either fictional fights or movie trivia strategy. And that's just the two sections of my brain at this point. Saul is like a Darth Maul. Like he can hang with the top dogs. Like most like Maul on paper can probably outfence and kill most of the people on the Jedi Council, right? But most is doing a lot of work there because the people he can't are the council. There's like the top dogs of the top dogs. Your Windu, Yoda, Kenobi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Saul is Maul, Darth Saul, right? Like that's like I think that he is capable of steamrolling people. And I think he hits a brick wall against somebody on that, like, quote unquote, grandmaster tier. I don't think Brandon Hanna is a metaphorical trivia Mace Windu. I like him a lot. And if I were picking who I want to win because of personalities and stuff like that, I'm picking Brandon Hanna. But I think Darth Saul takes it. As far as round 2 goes, Travis, you have Robert Parker versus Ethan Irwin.
Mm-hmm.
So
who do you think I'm going to say, Jared? Who do you think I'm going to say? I'm saying Robert
feel like
Parker.
Okay, I was going to say, I feel like it's obvious that you're going to say Parker, but I was like, I also feel like you're going to commit to Ethan Irwin.
I want to commit to Ethan Irwin really badly. I think it's a lot closer than anyone's going to give that match. I think that's going to be the Parker v. Chance of this IG bracket.
Okay.
Parker v. Chance won, right? Where everyone went in and went, well, Chance can hang, but it's Robert Parker. And then we saw what happened. I think that's what people are going to say, assuming Ethan beats Paul, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get to, well, Ethan can hang, but it's Robert Parker. But Ethan Irwin is also Ethan Irwin, right?
Yeah.
So I will say that once again, the question shift in IG of not being so much dedicated to year, lead actor, director, not necessarily in that order, right? What movie is it? Could bite him, theoretically, but I don't know.
Like a
We'll see.
spider bite?
Like, oh yeah, I see what. Okay, I see what you. Like a moose bite.
Hey.
That's
All
where I'm
right,
gonna go.
so right side of the bracket, we both have Chance v. Saul. I think Chance can take him.
Oh,
What?
and it's one of those again. Chance is too calm. He's too consistent. That he's just the easy pick to take. Like I would have said that. I said that last season until he got to Parker, and then I was like, well, Robert Parker hasn't missed a question in the Schmodown yet. Or no, he had missed one or something. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think he's still got this. I think Chance is just too consistent to bet against him with a lot of these players who have that I'm either perfect or I'm giving up every question in round 2, and there's no in between. I guess there is an in between, but like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Chance has this like raw power to not get in his own head about missing a question, and it's his greatest strength, I think, and it's what's going to keep him in this tournament.
I agree with you. So we have Parker versus Ellis in 3 in the finals, and I think it's obvious whom we're betting on from that point forward.
Ethan Irwin, baby, from the top rope. He's back. We have a storyline we gotta keep too, damn it.
To avenge Jesse Swift, Coy Jandrew re-enters the Inner Geekdom tournament. Re-enters the Inner Geekdom division.
Don't talk dirty to me like that.
Other than that, we have 2 separate versions of the Star Wars bracket. Honestly, I'm just going to wait till we know which one is going to happen to cover it.
I think that's a good idea.
And let good enough alone there. Moving forward to our...
Really quick, do we know when Harper v. Demolanto will be?
It was not on the schedule for August so far, so no.
It's probably going to be next month then.
Probably. Jumping in to the week's matches. William the Beast Bibiani versus Jacob the Aussie Blunden.
Are we not talking about Swift Parker?
You will talk about Parker versus Swift. I am stupid, and that's where my eyes went first. Parker v. Swift. Travis?
I think Jesse played. He's getting better. Yeah, everyone's been saying this. He gets better every game.
Yeah.
He gets more consistent. He is willing to pick himself back up from defeat, from his faults, and point out, like, this is where I screwed up. I should have done this better. I should have done this better. I should have done whatever. He just played a much...
player.
Yeah. He just... Parker is... And granted, we've seen him do it twice now. He's on the warpath. And it hasn't worked out for him, before. He's on the warpath, and then he trips up at Chance. And then he's on the warpath, and he trips up at Andrew. Or Chandru. In my head, I went Drew, and then filled in the rest from the back.
Andrew Dondapani.
Champion level player whose name ends in Drew.
It's a guy with the buttons meme.
But Yeah, it would have been. I think anyone taking Robert Parker in the round 1 of a tournament is in trouble, regardless. Like if it was him and Chance in round 1,
Yeah.
I think that's scarier. Him and Chance in round 3, anything could happen. But I think that Robert again has the benefit of Mara being a study partner, has the benefit of Kaiser being a manager, right? Even though it seems that he hasn't been as involved recently, I'm sure for very good Smets related reasons.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
Or hell, even personal reasons if he has a life to live, right? That happens.
Yeah.
That like Kaiser has managed 2 people to the IG belt. Right? That's just a thing he does. And so I think and we've seen him like him and Parker have that rapport of when Parker starts to get in his head, he can come in and go, "Hey, don't. Like you're good. You're getting questioned." Because he always gets in his head about his opponent like not getting it quite right, or well, technically it was this. He's like, "Hey, you still got the point. It's fine. Remember, you will be up on points and they won't be eventually. They will miss eventually. It's fine." So, also, I was so ecstatic to get through a Wizarding World category that did not involve a question about Crimes of Grindelwald. It made me
I was waiting for you to bring
so
that
happy.
up.
Also, did you know that because they asked the actor question, like, what's the first name of the student this actor? That's a hard question, by the way, because nobody knows Goyle's first fucking name. But I was like, I don't know who this actor is, but I bet if I saw their face, I'd know who it was. So I looked them up. Did you know he's an MMA fighter now?
Good.
It's so weird. It is so strange.
People's post Harry Potter careers are wild, man.
But anyway,
so my favorite pictures on the internet is that set photo of Daniel Radcliffe in the bathrobe with 2 guns and like bear slippers on. It's my favorite photo on the internet. Is that the name of the movie?
It's like Guns Akimbo or something. I haven't seen it. I really want to. I just love that he went.
Like I keep meaning
he
to
did
look
the ultimate
up what
thing.
That movie is.
He's like, I have so much money that I don't know what to do with, so I'm just gonna do whatever job I want. I'm gonna take whatever movie I want. Like he does. He did the opposite of what everyone else does. Of like, oh, I can't be in anything that isn't so prestigious. And he's like, no, I'll be naked on stage with a horse. What do you want?
Yep.
I'll do what I want.
If we're ever like at like obviously he would have to be at like a big convention like a San Diego or something for some like Harry Potter bullshit. I would take the Cards Against Humanity card to have him sign it.
I think people have done that before.
I absolutely have to. They have to have. And he seems like the type of guy who'd like be super into that. Like think it's freaking hilarious. I
think that was it for this one. I really wanted to bring up the fact
that you covered it really well on that one. I think
there's not a Crimes Grindelwald question, and that makes it the best IG match in a long time.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It was a really good match. Swift played really well. I think he is slowly getting, not slowly in like a bad way, but like, you know, he went from getting knocked out to holding his own against Robert Parker. That is a marked improvement. Nibs v. Blunden.
I'm very sad that this was a round 1 match. This made me very sad.
Me too. And I counted some chickens before they hatched because I thought Bibiani was about to get punched in the mouth in this one. I really thought Bibbs was going down for a second. Like, you know, and hey, that's just how this game works. Is anything can happen. You know, there are those competitors, there are those players. There's that format where it's like the first person to miss is going to be the one to lose. That's not always true. It is true. It's true often enough for that to be like a benchmark. It's true often enough for it to be like, oh, this is a not great sign for my fave.
I will say, I think, because you've mentioned before that young adult is such a terrifying category. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I disagree. But I think you're right now. Like, with the new mindset of question format in mind, watching that round 2, the one that tripped him up was a plot question, right? It was what is the plot of this Twilight movie that you definitely didn't see? I have no idea how Bibbs knew it, which is hilarious to me. But
it's like he said, like being a film critic for as long as he has, he's like I have seen almost every movie that has come out over the past few years. Like there comes a point where like you just know that shit, like it's just ingrained, and that's part of what makes him a monster, a beast, if you will. Is that he just knows, and like he's one of those people who, A, this is his job, and B, he has like I guess a photographic memory enough to just kind of be able to recall Twilight, blang, boom, bada bop boop,
Yeah. This is also a match that demonstrates what Frank and I were talking about last week, how your goal strategically is to make your opponent answer their 5-pointer first.
Yeah.
If that's a position you can get yourself in, your odds of winning go up in like drastically.
Mm-hmm. Your odds of winning drastic go down. I also love that Steiner math is becoming like a popular meme again, by the way. I just feel like I need to say that. Like that is like one of my favorite memes of all time. And the fact that it's becoming a relevant meme again makes my soul happy. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
No, I'm an old man.
It's like an older meme where like the wrestler, it was like a pro wrestling like promo that he cut where he was like doing all these like weird ass equations where he's like, there is 3 me and Samoa Joe, so I'm a genetic freak, so we're a normal man, his odds of winning is sacrifice. That
okay,
that I love it. Jen Sturger has made Steiner math jokes this season in post games, and every time I'm like, somebody, please Steiner math in their promo. I'm begging somebody to do it. Can we please get Gucci math? Can we please get Gucci math? I'm begging you for Gucci math. I'm begging you for Kaiser math. One of these guys need to just like assault the concept of mathematics as a promo. I'm begging you. But yeah, no, this is a great match. I really thought Blunden had it for a minute, like I said. But that's the danger with Bibbs. Sometimes he can come in there and kind of chin check you and take the match for his own. But again, this is a great showing for Blunden. Like he might be 0-2, but he also nuked a table at free for all.
Yeah,
a stacked table.
This is just one of those getting dealt a bad hand, right? Like he gets a category he wants in round 2. We're looking at it completely different.
I think if he gets a better category, he beats Bibiani. And you have upset of the year right there.
He doesn't necessarily beat him. It depends on what Bibbs' 5-pointer would have been, right? Because that's what I'm talking about. His odds go way up because now Bibbs is answering his 5-pointer first.
Yeah.
And if somehow Bibbs doesn't pull it, it doesn't matter that Blunden didn't know his. He doesn't have to answer it.
Yeah. That's very true. But yeah, and then we also had Jada Paramo versus Paige for Betty. Boston Badass versus the Hurricane. This is another good one. I don't know if you watched the post-game interview for this or not. Sam Levine, I love him. I absolutely love him. Because he was like doing the post-game. He's like, he's hyping up Paige and doing all the things a manager does. And he was like, also, he's like, because I know I'm gonna see it on Twitter and on Facebook and on Reddit and on YouTube, so I'm just gonna say it now. They were right to challenge it. He did his whole thing. He was like, they needed to. He's like, the job of a manager is to defend and help your player wherever you can. So of course Kate defended him. Of course Kate defended that choice of a challenge, and of course I defended Paige the way I did. He was like,
so I might have skimmed this one. What was the challenge? Where, who, when, why?
In I believe it was Paige's round 2, she spun Judd Apatow. I don't remember the question itself, but the answer was, you don't mess with the Zohan. She answered, don't mess with the Zohan. And Jader and Kate Mulligan challenged it and said that is not the title of the movie. Sam said there was a precedent for kind of trimming the title up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the judges ruled in favor of Jada Paramo and the Den, simply because they felt as though you don't.
It's not cutting.
Yeah, it's not.
You're not cutting or like you're not cutting Star Wars Episode 4. Like if you again, The Empire Strikes Back is acceptable because that was its theatrical name, but also writing that is a lot. Even though you don't. I agree with that challenge, and I'm glad that Sam is enough of a again, that's one of those things where I don't get mad so much when he goes in on a challenge or in on a defense, because he said, and you can tell where it's like, strategically, this is how I have to do this, because if we can get their challenge away, that's huge, right? Or vice versa, if I can do this to get my player points on the board, that's huge. So
yeah, and again, he got very heated. He and Kate Mulligan got heated with each other for a second there when it was just the managers on screen discussing the challenge. But again, he immediately once the dust had settled, commended Kate. He's just such a sportsman, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I love Sam as a manager so friggin' much. But yeah. I also agree with the challenge. I think that it was enough of a difference in the long run. But I also think it was interesting that the example Ken gave was Rise of Skywalker versus The Rise of Skywalker. So at that point, and he was speaking, he kind of bulldozed through his sentence. So I couldn't tell if he was saying this is unlike, or this is he was saying there's enough of a title there. So I think it's funny that both of you brought up Star Wars as a comparison.
I think though, technically,
I
haven't. Yeah, I haven't. Again, I didn't actually. I kind of skimmed through the round 2 just to be able to comment. The round 2 was a back and forth. I do know that. And I think it also came down to Paramo missing his 5-pointer, right?
Jader won.
It came down to him getting his 5-pointer.
Yes.
I think I saw the thing went to Andrew Winner, and I think I might have just assumed that Paige Fabretti won. It was the last one I watched.
But now you've gaslit me into being confused as to who won, so now I have to double check.
Okay. It was the last one I watched last night, and I was like, I need to just see who won this and have an idea of how the match went. Which clearly I didn't do a good job of. But
hey, it's okay. Sometimes you gotta.
Yeah, sometimes you whiff. It's fine. But I think actually, if he was saying that it's, I think you can say Rise of Skywalker and it's valid.
I think you can as well.
By the rule book. I think that's how the rule works.
I think you're right.
The.
One moment. I am going to Schmodown Live. They have the wins, like who won each match on there, right?
I don't know. I'm just gonna pull it up on YouTube.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman's in a movie. Don't care.
Yes, he is. It looks interesting.
That would involve me watching a trailer.
Well,
I was right. He misses his 5-pointer and Paige wins.
Okay. You are right. Yeah, because just as you got there, I saw them getting interviewed first. I got so confused. Okay, you know what? You were right. I misremembered that match. That is how that went down. You're right, because I was okay. I'm remembering now. You're right. Okay. Everything makes sense. We're bad at our jobs.
Because he missed it on Meryl Streep.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Everything's coming together. I think that leaves us with one more.
No, it doesn't. We're done. We don't have to. It's fine. We don't have to. Yeah, he lost. You
don't get to. We don't.
I don't get to do it back to you.
No, you get to do it back to me, but you need to expect me to just like shit right back to you. And it's not like we're not going to be like this with the IG finals, you know?
I can revel in the fact that Ethan 3 belts is happening.
No, it's not. It's Ethan 3 belts is not happening. Not before Mikey 3 belts.
I'm making shirts. You can't stop me.
You can't. I can't, but I think Christian Harloff will.
It just won't have. It won't have Schmodown. It'll be missing a letter. It'll be a typo.
And then there's. I say that like Christian wasn't kind enough to let us put it in our logo for this show. Which again, very sweet of you, Mr. Commissioner.
I mean, it's basically free advertising. I don't know why he wouldn't.
It's not fair.
Like it's not like we're doing this, having the logo and going, "This is the worst thing anyone's ever made. Don't go watch it." You know,
fair. This is a really good match. Like this is really good. Like
this was a slugger.
Murrell losing aside.
It was such a the betting round felt so weird to me. Where like we get to the point of the betting round where if one of them misses, we have this huge swing, but usually both people get it right, and you end up even, right? Like the score doesn't change, the lead doesn't change, whatever. To see both of them miss at 3 points and have that weird moment of like nothing has changed in this moment still, but it feels really awkward.
Yeah. Well, it was just so surprising because, like, I mean, A, it was surprising that both of them missed a question like that. And B,
it's a hard question. As someone who had not seen the movie they were talking about, I'm sure that was a difficult question.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, in terms of it's Ethan Irwin and Dan Murrell, like, seeing them both miss a question is surprising. The betting round could have really shaken this match up. Like, that's what I was expecting. Like, I was expecting them to either, like, stay in their lane at both of them going up by 3 and nothing changing, or for somebody to, like, again, that up by 3, down by 2 type divide is where matches get broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they still stayed in the same lane. Just in, they both went down by 3. To address my name for video watchers, I knew that Spike Lee's first directing nomination was for BlacKkKlansman. And
I did the same thing he did. where I was like, there's no way it took until Black Klansman for Spike Lee to get a Best Director nomination.
I remember because it's so shocking that it took until Black Klansman for him to get a Best Director. And then he won for Best Writer to make up for the fact that it had taken so long for him to get a nomination. But yeah, I pulled that one and I didn't need the check down. I was impressed with myself. That was my Travis got a 5-pointer this week. I
Notably did not get a 5-pointer.
I think I got I got a 3 or a 5 from one of them. I can't remember which. But yeah, this is really incredible. Obviously, I said last week, or not last week, but on our last show when we had Frank on, that like I was of two minds. Where like part of me, like numerically, ranking wise, I'm glad that Ethan Irwin won, because that's less points for the dungeon, makes the corruption's job of catching up a lot easier, especially with the amount of.
Might not be good for points for you. For me, it's great because this means Dan Murrell gets to play in the tournament.
That exactly. Like there's a very scary double-edged sword here where like Dan Murrell ends up in the tournament. Anything can happen in the tournament though. Like hell, we were talking about like the matches coming up, and again, we don't have a solidified singles bracket yet. But look at last year's tournament. John Roca and Mike Kalinowski both got knocked out of the tournament in round 1. Perry Nemiroff, punched Kalinowski in the mouth, and Adam Collins came out of friggin' nowhere and took out the Outlaw. Right? Anything can happen in the tournament. I'm not saying that I'm betting on Dan Murrell losing in the tournament. He could very easily do what Chance and Mike did last season in the IG. But also being in the tournament, having a powerhouse in the tournament is a risky strategy because they can steamroll the tournament and it ends up being free points. Big points, especially if they go to the end of that tournament and get a number 1 contender shot, right? They said the show, it's over. But also, Kalinowski versus Nemiroff can happen. Also, Collins versus Roca can happen. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a chance somebody gets them on their day to shine. So, while number-wise, I'm freaked out by Dan Murrell being in a tournament, there's also a chance he gets knocked out of it. And once we have like a fully fleshed out version of this bracket to look at and look at who's hurtling towards who, like he could end up in a situation where he's up against somebody who can take him. There's the likelihood of him ending up against one of the Finstock 4 who will give him a run for his money in a 3-round match. Like one of the things that Dan Murrell that I think is interesting is I think it's easier to beat Dan Murrell in a 3-round match than it is to beat him in a 5-rounder. Like, I think your odds of beating him in a championship.
It's easier to beat anybody in a 3-round match.
Well, I know, but I mean Dan Murrell specifically. Like, he's lost more 3-rounders than he's lost titles. Is what I'm saying. My math could be off on there, but I feel like that's the case. Is that he's lost more 3-rounders than he has like 5-round title shots. So like put him up against one of the Finstock 4. He's going to it's going to be a fight. Put him up against, KO or Chance or Bibiani, the Kid. There's a lot of people floating around. I think, Snyder's got to be in there somewhere, We don't
know yet because he's still on that, because he's playing Chance. Presumably, that's going to result in, if he wins that, he gets to go play someone else for number 1 contender. Like, That is all still happening.
Yeah.
So, which then begs the question, does that mean that, like, all of those people that are unsure yet of what they're doing end up in this little, like, section of the bracket over here, and then we have just the Powerhouse Tournament Round 2? Or are they, if the reason we have, and I assume this is the actual reason, the reason we haven't seen the bracket is because they're seeded in and spread out so far across that other side of the bracket that, or whatever way they're splitting it for this, that the reason they can't show it is that there's like 18 different brackets because of who could potentially, like, they still can't put it out because Ethan Irwin might still be playing in the tournament. Theoretically, if Marisol beats him.
Next month is when they're doing Marisol versus Ethan Irwin. So I feel like,
but if Marisol loses, she could be in the tournament.
Oh, that is on the table for Marisol still.
I'm pretty sure, which means it has to be on the table for both of them.
Interesting.
Because there's no way the suspects would lock in 4 people and one of them not be Irwin unless he's the champion. So, I don't know.
That's fair. I will say there also is a chance that is the case, that like Marisol and or Ethan Irwin are just shit out of luck at the end of the day. Because I know
that's what I would think it was.
Well, because like there isn't, like, whenever we get Chandru versus Kalinowski, like there isn't another IG bracket. Like whichever one of them loses, done for the season.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's a chance it's over.
Well, and I think this is also part of the reason why Christian is so, like, the factions have kind of made scheduling a mess and bracketing a mess, is because now he has to, like, because if I'm Sam Levine and I'm looking at who I want to put in this tournament, because at the time I don't know that Ethan Irwin will be champion, and like I submit my 4 people, but Ethan Irwin, now champion Ethan Irwin, has another title defense and could would have the time to play in round 1 if he loses. I'm not going to pass that up if the option's given to me. I think it would have been way easier if, like, would have been easier on Christian to have a lockout date of, if someone is still contending for a number 1 contender shot, or play, if someone's in this realm of possibility for the title, they can't play in the tournament. And I know the reason he didn't do that is so that, for example, if next week, or whenever that next pay-per-view is with Chance and Snyder, right? If Chance loses, you don't want to go, okay, Chance Ellison, you're out of singles.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff Snyder, you're out of singles. Come play in this huge tournament we're having. That's okay. No, Dan Murrell, right? And this is part of the problem, though, is that, like, they couldn't play outside the tournament because you don't have time at that point. Because now you have to get through all of singles, you have to get through the other tournaments, and then you have to settle those contender shots at the end of the season.
Yeah. Looking at, I just pulled up the faction bracket, or not faction brackets, the rosters.
Standings.
I'm looking at the rosters right now. The suspects, like, let's say Irwin isn't in there. I think Sam has a solid team of sending in Liz, Drew, Alvarez, and we know for Betty is in there. I keep messing it up because I know she had her whole thing about, like, there's not an R at the end. So I'm trying to get that right. So, but I was looking at it like again, like, you want to have Ethan Irwin in there. If he can't, Liz, Drew, for Betty, Alvarez, I think that's a stand-up team for the tournament.
But then you lose, because, again, part of the Schmodown is the marketability of your players. People that have been in want to see Ethan Irwin play. They want to see Dan Murrell play. They want to see Chance play. They want to see Snyder, right? These people that these legacy players that have been there forever now that we all know at any point could win a belt, right? Like anyone I just said is contending for singles champion,
Yeah.
right? Chance and Ethan, I'm sticking with Ethan on this. Chance and Ethan have a huge chance of being triple belted, right? Like it's very not out of the range of possibility. And that concept is huge. And if you lock it out early for the sake of scheduling, you're losing so much marketability and so much viewership there. Because if you ended up in a place, right, like let's say because of the way tournament cutoffs are going to happen, that because Corruption lost, they're out of the teams tournament. If Chance loses, he's out of IG, and if Mike loses, he's out of IG. What do you want? Like you love the Schmodown enough to watch anyway. What do you as a Corruption fan have to look forward to?
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
Like,
yeah.
And also for faction standings, like Corruption could get soft locked out. Right? Because again, you look through that list. I think the only thing they'd have is I don't know if Deception's on the path to a contender shot yet. So, but if they're in the tournament, right?
Yeah.
That might be it. If it's just here's the win, like here's the wall. If you can't get past it, you're out. Because like Marisol has her match to play, and if she loses, she can go in the tournament. Chance loses, he can go in the tournament. Corruption can still play theoretically at the tournament. I guess Adam Collins, right? Adam Collins is in the tournament. He's going to tear shit up again. But, like, numerically, you base, like, without letting Corruption, I'm just picking random examples, but just based on how things are right now, like, without letting Corruption say, like, waiting to see how things turn out to lock in their players, you could soft lock them very easily out of having any chance of winning the faction war.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think what you're pointing out is just like the unforeseen flaws of the current system, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes to pass. Back to this match in particular. Did you watch the little statistic package at the beginning of the show?
I did not.
Okay. Please tell me. Those have been attached to every single one of these pay-per-views, and we just skipped them and didn't know they were there. Because that was...
I think they used to be when they were in-person live events.
I know that there were those before, and maybe it's just been so long that I've forgotten about them. But
yeah, because they've not been on the digital ones.
Really enjoyed that little package at the beginning. I was really entertained by it. It was really good. I liked it. Good job, Frank, friend of the show. That was cool. I like that little package. I love seeing stuff like that. Any other thoughts on this championship match? This championship match where Dan Murrell lost and Ethan Irwin won?
Oh, yeah. This championship match that proves I'm right and Ethan Irwin's getting triple belted by the end of the season. I say that as a Dan Murrell fan. I said, to be fair, though, I said this back when Dan Murrell was, like, teasing he'd play in Inner Geekdom, right? Like, yeah. He said that, and I went, Dan Murrell's getting 3 belts. He's doing it.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I have more money on Chance doing it than Ethan, but I want Mike to do it. I need Mikey 3 belts. I need it to all come together. I need it to all coalesce.
You're not getting it for this season.
All right. Let's see.
He's not playing in singles, is he?
I think he is.
We don't know. We don't have a bracket.
We don't know. We don't have a bracket. Can't say anything for sure because we don't have shit. Next week's matches. Paulo Yama versus Ethan Irwin, who we know. We talked about that one earlier. Griffin Newman versus Video Drew.
Wait, what?
Griffin Newman versus Video Drew.
Okay, I heard Ethan Irwin versus Video Drew, and I'm like, what division is that in? Because that's what every time, because I read it and you just said it, Ethan Irwin, Paulo Yama, and I'm like, wait, that's not in singles. Like, that's not in singles. Oyama didn't cash in his contender shot. I'm going to say Griffin Newman.
I feel like it's a safe bet. I feel like he's good enough to take on Drew.
He bats perfect.
I would like to see Video Drew beat one of the Finstock 4, though. That would just be fun to see happen. But I am with you. I think Griffin Newman's got this one. Ben the Boss Bateman versus Scary Perry Nemiroff.
I want Ben Bateman to win.
I want Ben Bateman to win as well. However, Perry Nemiroff in round 1 just gives me PTSD. Moose Haas versus Chance. We covered that one already as well. I think. Oh yeah, and then in singles, Paulo Yama versus Nick Harley.
I don't know who Nick Harley is, so I'm going to say Paulo Yama.
Alrighty, and then I think I accidentally went through like the entire month. Yeah, yeah, because everything ends with this coming week ends with Nemiroff versus Bateman. So yeah, and that's all we have for you guys this week. Travis, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
Twitter and Instagram at Travis Political. Jarod.
Yes.
Where?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Case and Brion, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, Zach Knaus, Michael Armburst, and Jared the Light Sith. Be sure to consider the $5 tier where you get access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus Series, Heroic History 101, and the TNAP Movie Club audio commentary tracks. I think TeePublic is still running a sale, so go check that out. If you click on the Student Store link, get all manner of Nerd Academy, pardon my hiccups, you get all manner of Nerd Academy merch and goodies on our TeePublic page. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you all so very much for listening, and smash cancer.
Stop!